Hello everyone, my name is Takwa Kalfi and today I will discuss the theme of child marriages. According to the UNICEF, child marriage is the formal or informal union of a person before the age of 18. The difference between a formal or informal union is simple. A formal union has been legally registered by the government, while an informal union wasn't. It only involves religion or traditional ceremonies. This topic is important because it affects the lives and future development of millions of children worldwide, particularly girls. It limits access to education and exposes children to early responsibilities that can negatively impact their physical, psychological, and social well-being. I chose this topic because I find it important to understand why child marriages still happen despite the world being against it and laws being against it. And thus my thesis statement for my paper was that family pressure, gender inequality, and personal reasons such as love or early pregnancies are the main reasons why child marriages remain common in many countries today, and they have harmful consequences on a child's mental well-being. I decided to explore this topic while using history, sociology, and psychology as social disciplines, even though in my paper I only divided it by subsections like context, causes, and consequences. First things first, context. Historically, child marriage was common because childhood was not clearly seen as a separate life stage with specific rights or protections. In a book named American Child Bride by Sarit, he discusses that in early centuries, people placed little importance on exact age, and many did not even know their birth dates. Instead of age-based rules, life transitions such as marriage or work were based on physical maturity or economic readiness. As a result, marrying young was not seen as harmful but as a normal step into adulthood. This historical context helps explain why child marriage became socially accepted and how these early norms continue to influence attitudes today. Now, um, as a cause, I chose family pressure to present today. Family pressure is a key cause of child marriage because child marriage decisions are often made collectively and linked to family honor rather than individual choice. In an article written by Sorfo, they found that in many societies, marriage unites families, and child marriage can bring respect and social status, especially when linked to ideas of purity or tradition. Cultural expectations also push young people to marry once they are seen as mature. Sometimes they are defined mature only by puberty, which can lead to early marriages in many contexts. In addition, early marriage is often justified as protection against pregnancy or shame, reinforcing pressure on families to preserve honor through marriage. Overall, family expectations strongly normalize child marriage by framing it as a protective and honorable thing to do. As for the consequences, child marriage has serious consequences for a child's well-being, which includes not only physical health but also psychological, social, and emotional development. Psychological well-being requires more than the absence of suffering. In the book Reading on Childhood Well-being by Schwiger and Graf, they found that child marriage disrupts this development by forcing children into adult roles too early, removing them from supportive environments during a critical stage of growth. Evidence from a similar study by April states that early separation from a stable environment can severely weaken a child's sense of security and emotional stability, especially when combined with trauma, neglect, or abrupt changes in living conditions as early marriage. Such disruptions create a double loss of both external safety and internal psychological security, which are essential for a healthy social emotional development for a child. As a result, child marriage can undermine a child's overall well-being by interrupting their development, weakening their emotional stability, and limiting their ability to build a secure and healthy future. Now, as for the similarities and differences in the articles I studied for my paper, I found that there are more similarities than differences. All of my articles were mainly about developing countries. Or countries where the living conditions were really hard, where people are mainly poor, or cultural traditions are important there, and family honor is important there. They're not really social. Um, they're not really finding child marriages as a social, I don't know, disgusting thing to do. There were not a lot of differences. The main differences were between the statistics between American child marriages and developing country marriages. One surprising piece of information that I found is that even though America kind of find the child marriage disgusting, they were a little late in the law department, in the laws against child marriage. As in 2010, the US Congress failed to pass the International Protection Girls by Preventing Child Marriages Act, and as of this writing, the United States remains one of the two nations, Somalia being the other one, not to ratify the United Nations Convention on the Elimination of All Forms of Discrimination Against Women, one plank of which explains that the marriage of a child below 18 shall have no legal effect, which means that in most states, the legal age for child marriage is already below 18 with the approval of parents, but children as young as 14 can still marry in America. And I find it surprising that in a developed country, which is supposed to be rich, children are still marrying early. Now, for what I found challenging in my paper. The thing I found the most challenging wasn't really finding the information in the articles or even in books. It was mostly how I would incorporate them together, or yeah, incorporating them together. As even if the two articles had the same information, I didn't know how to put them together in the same sentence, or how to explain um, one aspect of one sentence and the second aspect from another source. It was pretty hard, but that's the thing that I found the most challenging in my paper. Now, one question for the future. Um, in all the articles that I read, I found that the one thing that they never discussed was how to prevent child marriages effectively. They talked about legal laws against it, but they never talked about the consequences for child marriages, not the consequences on a child's well-being. The legal consequences for people that marry early. If a minor marries with an adult, even though the laws are against it in that country specifically, what kind of legal consequences are they going to get? Are they going to prison, or are they getting a fine, or are they? I mean, I want to know what kind of consequences would lead to the stopping of child marriages. Again, to reframe the question is, what kind of legal consequences would it take for child marriages to stop in most countries? That's my question. And this is it for my presentation. Thank you very much for listening to me, and I hope that you liked it. Thank you.